How hard did you push it till I black out? Yes. Numerous times, yes.
What's happening, Municipals? You've got producer Jack here and Mr. Ashton Moss. We're here to talk about our recent round at the newly opened Poppy Ridge Golf Course in Livermore, California today. Ashton, how we doing?
I'm good. This is not going to be about this, but you and I leave for Bandon very soon.
Very soon.
This trip was booked before I was engaged. This trip was booked so long ago. And now it's like week of, and it's really hard to kind of focus on anything else. But Poppy was, I'm really excited to talk about this. This was a course that heard a lot about, obviously affiliated with the NCGA, and for everyone who knows, like Poppy Hills is a incredible golf course, and without burying the lead too much, I think that this it's kind of stupid to compare them because I think they're pretty different. But is it worth talking about and really analyzing? Like, yeah, because it's a really interesting piece of property.
Yeah, I'm excited about this one. I think the first time I played it was like probably 3-4 years ago, somewhere near either right before or right after COVID happened. So
But what
this is
did you think? I had never played here before the renovation. What did you think previously?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely like we walked it. It was definitely a hard walk across that property, especially because they had three different nines or whatever.
Kind of like
Um,
Cinnabar, would it rotate?
yeah, exactly. So no, I mean, it was it was like, I mean, also you're talking to someone who was like a 15 handicap at the time when I played it, so like very different kind of mindset on like when I look at a golf course now. But I'm definitely excited to talk about this iteration of it because I think they made it a lot more enjoyable and a lot more fun. Whereas I think originally it was much more of like a challenging golf course. Like I wouldn't recommend it to like a 15 to 20 handicap, that old layout that they had. So we're going to talk about it as a first impression spot. We'll kind of just um, we'll do a little bit of a hole by hole at one point, but we won't go through every single hole. There's definitely a little bit of a surprise here because Ashton played 36, and we're going to bury the lead a little bit on what happened on his second round. But um, I think we'll go into first impressions. For me, I definitely enjoyed it. The I don't want to go straight into one of my biggest complaints, but looking at the scorecard, one of the first my takeaways was like, hey man, for a bogey golfer, you're definitely gonna enjoy it. I love pretty good variety of the sizes of the fairways. Um, but it's definitely a place where you have to know where your ball is going, you know? But a lot of the fun for me was in, I would say, in the greens and approach shots. So I would say from like tee to green, tee shots are definitely challenging in my opinion. The approach shots are really fun because you could hit, you know, different shots into different greens. And, it doesn't favor like, hey man, like you're a ball striker, it's going to favor you type of course. Like you can get to a green in different ways. And then the greens are really fun. Like the green complexes, they had a lot of different sizes of green complexes. We'll talk about the one par five that's like 530 yards and the green is like 15 by 20 yards. But yeah, I think it's challenging enough and definitely it's probably more enjoyable for like a variety of different handicaps, which I really enjoy. Um, and as you know, like one of the things that I like about golf courses is when I had to hit every single club in my bag. And I think there's a little bit more of a priority on long irons, which I enjoyed, but you can get around different ways on the golf course. What were your kind of first impressions on you know, whether it's routing, how the course was made, things like that.
Yeah. Um, I think, and hopefully for people listening, they saw the reel that we put up on Tuesday. But I think the first impression is very simple. It's like, holy cow, this is just a expansive and vast piece of property. And I have no idea if there was trees or many of them, but it's just kind of a thrilling feeling to be able to essentially look close to 360 degrees, and you can't see everything, but you have a like one thing I love about going to a course is like when you are, you're putting your bag down, you're checking in, and you're like, oh my god, I get to play like here today. Uh,
Yeah.
and again, like it works both directions because like we're gonna play at Bandon, Old Mac, you get there and you can see like the first hole, and you actually have no idea what's coming until you get later on, and that's thrilling too. But one thing I really love about a place like that, which I think we'll make some comparisons. Neither one of us have played Chambers Bay, but like that kind of property where it's like you pull up and you can kind of really see the totality of what this place is. I found that to be really thrilling.
Yeah.
um, the other thing that I think is very important to note, and I don't have an opinion because I've only played here once, but it's a course that from a routing perspective, from a distance perspective, it just doesn't matter a ton because for people who are not from the area, that part of the East, I mean, it's not even East Bay. That part, like, it's pretty, for me, for San Francisco, it was a solid hour away from my house. It's just really freaking windy. It's really, really windy. There's no, like, the wind is just barreling off the mountains. And I think when we teed off at 8:30 in the morning, it was probably blowing 25 with gusts to 35. And when I played in the afternoon, it was probably 35 blowing like 45. And so one thing that like I want to unpack a little bit with you is like as much as I enjoyed the course, if that is how the wind blows all the time, I think there are some bad hole designs. And not just the one that I'm going to talk about, but other ones where it's like um we'll kind of get there, but the one where the centerline bunker hole, like
Hmm.
if it's gonna blow 45 and yeah, I mean that's just not that fun of a hole.
Yeah.
That's a really cool hole
Yep.
if you can get it there, but we both hit the ball a long way. It's not about distance, but like where a hole is designed where you're supposed, you get rewarded at, I'm making this up, 275, 280, but because the wind you're getting it there, you're hitting it 245. Well, then the
Yeah.
whole point of the hole sort of goes away. So I don't know how often I'm going to get to play there, just because the reason I played 36 was, for me, you're talking about a 4.5 hour round of golf and probably 2 to 2.5 hours to get there and back. But I really want to see like, oh, like, because if you tell me that like, oh, the wind actually switches all the time, that hole's downwind
Mm.
today, and then cool, then I'm into it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot, but I'm a lot more into it if I know the wind is going to switch. If every single time we play there, number 7 is dead into the wind, or number whatever hole I just mentioned, like 12,
12.
if those are always into the wind, it's just like these are not like you gotta like think a little bit about how that plays.
Yeah.
Um, Again, I know I said I wasn't keep talking about Bandon, but like I know they talk about for example Pac Dunes. There's the winter wind and the summer wind,
Yeah.
and I've played there in March, and it's like this hole is going to play totally different in July. So like when we go, a lot of those holes where it's like I think I know what to expect, it's going to
Yeah.
be totally different. And my question about Poppy Ridge that we don't know because it's been open for 2 weeks is that the same wind or is it different? So vast, expansive piece of property, firm and fast, great conditioning, very beautiful vistas. But the wind is sort of the variable that I don't have enough data to like really have a formulated opinion. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I would say like I think Eric Fernandez, who we played with, like pointed it out on, I think it was on probably like 13 or 14, somewhere around there. And actually there's one, I think on number 4, it's like this uphill par 5. We were all looking at this like like mini wind turbine, and it was like it was about to fly
Thoo,
off that
thoo, thoo,
structure.
thoo, 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 thoo. Yeah, like it's one of those that like it needs the wind to make it go, and like it literally sounded like a jet engine taking off.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it was
I mean,
wild.
it's close enough to Calipe. The only difference is like Calipe is a little bit protected. So I could see where there's gonna be days where it's like pretty calm, and then there's gonna be days where that wind is blowing. Um, I'll share my screen real quick.
Oh
Let
God,
me
not this
just
again.
no, no, like because I do want to talk about like this is related to the routing a little bit. So
Just verbally explain what you're showing,
yeah,
please. Did not
what we're
exactly get the
showing.
best feedback.
So what we're showing right now, we're gonna look at a little bit of the this kind of overall routing map here, but you can kind of see one thing I like about the routing is it takes you both outside of the whole property and then it kind of meanders inward and then back outside and then finishes back at the clubhouse. So it's kind of this like pretty cool routing. I like it. I think you could call it like a Nautilus or um oh God, what is that pastry, dude? Like a cinnamon roll type of routing because you
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
unpack
Morning
everything.
bun, morning bun.
Morning
Yeah,
bun, yeah. So like you go up one, two, three, you can kind of see all the different holes over here. But if you look, so on this view, like
it's cool to
north
see it from this
is,
vantage point.
yeah, like north is where two and three are, and then number one is west. That wind that we had was everything was coming from the number one hole where this is. And you can kind of see there's a lot of greens that are directly like into that fan, basically,
Or
like
directly down.
or directly down. I think if we actually count it, if you take a look, the only downwind holes are really technically 11, 13, and maybe 6. 6 kind of played a little bit down, but more of a crosswind in my opinion. But everything else, if you're looking at it, like there's some
Yeah,
kind of side wind, and some of that wind was also kind of coming from the clubhouse at one point. I think this hole number 8 was like very much like playing into the wind from that side versus a crosswind, in my opinion. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, that day was I think a little bit of context, like, and I was kind of paying attention to this, just looking at the different weather patterns like across the U.S. Like the rest of the U.S. has a heat wave right now, and I was thinking about it, and this kind of coincides with like 2020 when we had all those wildfires up here, right, during COVID. Dude, that summer was pretty fucking windy as well. And I think generally this is a little bit of an anomaly. And I think you and I have talked about it where literally since actually Karika North opened up, if you think about it, all the weekend golf that I've played since then has been in somewhere
So
around like,
windy.
yeah, like 25 constant to like 40 gusting. So I think that
Yeah,
wind's a little bit of an
why is
anomaly.
that?
I
Because you're right.
mean,
Like when we played
climate
Creek,
change.
I played Creek, I played Creek and North twice, and have gotten
Yep.
totally blown off the planet. Weekend one
Yep.
of my bachelor party, I know you played, and you said you got blown off the planet at San Juan Oaks. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, now that you say that, I think for the last couple of months, the wind's just been. Was it windy at Pasa? No, but like,
Yeah.
but Pasa's
No, it
pretty
wasn't.
protected amongst the trees.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but at the exposed golf courses we've played, it's been humming, man. It's been humming. And again,
Yes.
Livermore is like the worst possible place for it because
Yeah.
there's
It's wide.
nothing to
It's wide
protect.
open. Yeah. It's
Like
on.
you
It's
can tell
surrounded
if you're
by
if you're on
wineries.
YouTube, you can tell Jack's background. Like, where in Jack's background are you supposed to get protected from the wind? Nowhere. Like it's just
Yeah.
humming.
And then literally like east, if you look from like number 4 green, if you look to the east, you're gonna see a shit ton of wind turbines. So all that to say, I think I want to say that it's a little bit of an anomaly because it's pretty close to where Calipe is, and there are days at Calipe where the wind's humming, but for the most part, like 80% of the year, the wind's like 10 to 15 at
But
most,
but
I
but
would
here's my
say.
thing. I don't care if like this is me being a dork. I don't care if it's blowing heavily. My thing is direction.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
So
like the
it's
thing is
definitely,
like I don't know. It's like you kind of are playing golf on the moon out there. It's always going to be kind of
yeah,
exposed to the elements. That's fine. But I
yeah,
think it's like I would find it disappointing if it's all like if it's going to blow a lot and blow in the same direction.
yeah.
That's a little
Eh,
bit frustrating. But we'll see. It's too early to know.
Yeah, it would be cool to like see it when it's either benign or it's opposite wind conditions because a lot of those holes will play differently. Like you were saying, 12 will
Totally.
definitely play different downwind because then you could try to like really go after one and hit it past this like middle bunker here.
Yeah.
Um, and then yeah, I mean I think weather conditions aside, I had a pretty good time. I would say besides, recently playing another golf course, that was one of the most enjoyable walks I've had this year. Um, so I really did like the walk. I think I would have rather carried than push carted though, because there were some parts of it like where push cart was kind of
Yeah.
like a little dicey. But I think overall, I will say like routing wise, I definitely enjoyed the routing. Um, the one thing I will say is probably if it's your very first time playing this course, don't play from the orange. Like give yourself a little bit of little bit of grace and forgiveness to have fun in there. And Yeah, definitely enjoy the walk. What did you think about how that routing unfolds throughout the whole course, dude? I know you said you like seeing all the vistas. It definitely
Yeah.
kind of plays like you're out in the moon, right?
Yeah. So I think that I I don't I don't think I really have an opinion on which nine I prefer more.
Hmm.
But I think that for the most part it feels like I guess you definitely go up a little bit like when you get four. Like
Hmm.
I think one thing that like that place does really, really well is sometimes I think uphill holes like this is an extreme example, but like Tilden Park number one, like sometimes uphill holes just stink. But it's really cool when like they make uphill holes that are like really good. And I think both of the I think four and then I think
Hmm.
it's 15, I want to say. It's actually right over Jack's left shoulder right there.
Oh,
Those holes are really good. But
oh
I
yeah.
think what kind of really stands out to me is, and this is helpful because Eric, our friend, gave us some context. Like one is just solid. It makes sense. Like it doesn't feel like a
Yep.
bunch of earth had to move. And I don't think they moved a bunch of earth anyway. But on the back nine, it felt more like Eric said that like there was a specific par three that kind of made it all work. Because I think
Mm,
what's cool is especially if you're playing a match or if you're playing well, whatever, you sort of want the round to crescendo.
yeah.
And I think what's cool about Poppy is it quite literally does that on the back nine. Like, think about it as like there's sort of the biggest hill, if you will, or I guess ridge, if you want to use the terminology correctly, is sort of on the back right part of the property. It's like literally where Jack's head is right now if you're watching on YouTube. And basically you like play the par five and then you play like it's like a par three that like cuts across that's uphill and then you go uphill even more on the par four and then you walk up the hill to and so it's kind of basically it sort of feels like for a what is it, it's one, two, three, really for a four hole stretch you're sort of like climbing up the ridge and then coming back down it, as you
Hmm.
kind of and I think that gets you all the way to back to 18.
Yeah.
And I found that particularly like thrilling. Like yeah, if you look on YouTube right now, it's like that little stretch right there of 14, 15, 16, 17 right there is pretty thrilling. And then the cool thing too is like 12 and 13 like you're playing sort of along the ridge line. So
Hmm.
there's definitely some up and down on the front, but I think like in my mind like Poppy Ridge really gets its name from the back nine, because you're
Back
literally
nine.
playing along the ridge and then up the ridge and then kind of back home. So I thought the routing was great. I agree with you. I think I need to be more mindful of. I like carrying my golf bag, and I think I need to
Yeah.
especially places that I know now, like places like Carica. Yeah, push cart,
Yeah.
it's flat, but places like Presidio, Pasatiempo, Poppy Ridge, it's just easier to have it on your back and almost treat it like a hike.
Yeah.
Because I know for me, my plan was to walk 36 as prep for Bandon, and I was totally cooked. Partly because I was pushing my push cart up these like very, very big hills. But yeah, I thought the front nine was really solid. Again, I thought like 4 was like a spectacular hole, but I think the round really crescendos. Like when you're standing up on that ridge, kind of in the back right part of the property, it's like, this is pretty insane, man. Like this is like
Yeah.
pretty awesome. So I thought the routing was extremely well done.
Yeah. The one thing I did really like about the routing too is like, dude, like hole number one, super wide fairway. You could pretty much hit it anywhere. But then you get to like two, three, four, and you kind of pucker up a little bit because like I love the variety, not just on the size of the greens, but also like the different tee shots you have to hit. Like if you look on YouTube here, like two, three, and four, those fairways are pretty freaking narrow, and you have like they're pretty demanding tee shots. Like four looks narrow from the tee box, and there's some area on the
Well,
right side of the
three
hole.
is a par three. We should say the fairway
Yeah,
is
yeah, sorry.
irrelevant.
Yeah, sorry. Like, but it's a narrow hole. Like, just the way that it makes you look, like almost like as you walk or go through the entire course, like it has this effect of like it really makes you pay attention to the tee shots you're hitting because it's not just like wide fairway, wide fairway, wide fairway. Like you're looking for where you're supposed to hit the ball to for the best spot for your approach shots, which I really like because then you get to the middle parts of the golf course and it's like a little bit open. And then like you said, where the golf course really crescendos is like you get down on 13, like pretty wide par five, but you have to really hit it on a specific side if you want a good approach shot. But then if you look at like 14 par three, you're hitting it over a creek, and you get to 15 and 16, like it's very much like, hey man, like you have to hit good tee shots, but it's not super punishing, which I do like. Like it still gives you an opportunity to get back a half a stroke or something that you lose on the tee shot. Um,
I agree, but
that's
I
one of the
will
things I
say
enjoyed.
I think that like when I got to the tee box before you and the starter had kind of
Mhm.
already started his little spiel, and he talked a lot about the fairways being super generous. And I don't know that I totally, kind of to your point, I don't know that that's actually true. I think that's one of my only criticisms
Mm,
is I think that, but this kind of goes back to what we're saying. I think that there's actually several tee shots that are not nearly as forgiving as they probably should
as they
be.
look. Yeah.
And a lot of it, I think, factors into the wind as well, because,
Yeah.
as we both know, like we were kind of joking, like people didn't mishit it, but if you think about number 16, which is like a short par four,
Yeah. Shortish par four.
we had Eric hits kind of a pretty big cut. His ball got into the wind and moved 200 yards.
Yeah.
And
That was
look,
pretty
that is
wild.
that is actually a really wide fairway, so
Yeah.
that works. But I'm just saying, he hits a big Wyndham Clark cut, and that ball got in the wind and just went and went and went and went. Which on 16 that's fine, but even
Yeah.
if you look at the
On
map, compare 16 to 15, right? It's those fairway if you really go through it, it's fifth yeah, one is open. It's two is tight, four is kind of tight, seven is super tight, nine's okay because it's drivable. 10 if you decide to pound driver gets pretty tight. 12, ironically, this goes back to the wind issue. 12 is tight the shorter you hit it, and because it's the end of the wind, 12 becomes a bit tight. 13's really wide, but then like 15. So I'm just saying that like they're sort of like slapping the label of like super wide, angle and stuff. But I would just tell them that like a third of the fairways I think are actually like relatively speaking pretty narrow.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like you have to hit it in specific spots for you to take advantage of it, which you wouldn't necessarily see it on the first go around. Like I think, like 12 is definitely a good example of it. Like being like you could play it left side or right side depending on how far you hit it. You just kind of have to suck it up that if it's into the wind, you might have like a 200-yard shot into that blind green. 13 I think is the one that was like you have to hit that on the left side for it to get down there as much as possible. So it's definitely like it's wide in the sense that if you miss it, I think there's only a few holes that really punishes you for missing on the wrong side.
The way I would think about it is Poppy Ridge is a really easy golf course to make bogey on.
Yeah.
It's a really easy golf course to make bogey on. But also I think there's one of those rounds where like even if you're a 4 or 5 handicap, you look up and it's like, oh, I made 2 birdies, a double, and 11 bogeys today. Like that feels totally like that's going to happen a lot more than people think.
Yeah.
Because again, you combine the wind and a lot of this stuff, and like we're saying, like some of these holes where it's like, I know if you come back to 12, it's like, oh, cool. It's like, 403, whatever, and then you hit, I think in the afternoon when it was blowing like 45, I think I hit driver 6 iron into there.
Oh.
And it's like, cool, man, it's 403, but like...
It's 450 question mark.
Yeah. Well, and then there's like, oh, then you actually get up there and you don't even realize this on the card, but then it's like, oh wow, there's like death bunker left, death bunker long, like, and then suddenly you're up there 403 and you're like, oh cool, like if it's down, I'm gonna hit driver wedge, and then it's driver 6 iron, you misjudge it, you hit in the back bunker, you can make a 6 or 7 there so fast. But I think what's also great is there's definitely holes like number 6. Where it's like the green complex is like
insanely cool.
You walk off of the par and you feel really disappointed. So, like I said, I think that like the what makes the place cool is the fact that like I think that like for people before they kind of play it and really understand what's going on, like I said, if you're a 5 handicap, if you make 2 birdies, a double, and 10 bogeys and shoot 82. Like don't be surprised at that because it's definitely a place where like you get caught with your hand in the cookie jar. And like you said, Jack, I actually appreciate this. Part of it is definitely wind related, but like you hit a lot of long irons. You don't have a choice. Like it's like you're hitting like 5 irons in a 5 or 6 irons into par 3s. You're hitting because the wind, like a lot of par 5s were like you hit a really good drive and it's like cool. You're hitting like 4 hybrid or longer in there. Yeah, again, maybe just because of the wind, but like what I was surprised by is, playing in the afternoon, I played up a tee, 6,500 yards. I was still hitting a lot of long irons, which is I'm not used to. Not a bad thing. I think actually cool because do I want to play Poppy Ridge every day? Like, no. But like we were saying, like once in a while, like, it feels like a golf course, kind of like Poppy Hills.
Yeah.
Where like when we have friends coming out of town or something, like it's a place you want to show people and like 4 times a year, hell yeah. And also too now that we know what we're getting into, it's definitely a course where like especially if you go play in the afternoon, it's like cool, like we're waging war against the golf course a little bit because the conditions are gonna punch in the face a little bit, but that's fine. You gotta kind of know what you're getting into, because the one thing, I know I'm talking a lot, the one thing that I feel very firmly about, and know you agree, we're not like score police, but like I think that the rating and slope are just incorrect. like the slope being 129, like 129 denotes that it's like a pretty like easy golf course.
Yeah.
I guess if like there's like if I guess if we're playing like the one up tee and there's absolutely no wind, sure, but like
Dang.
that's not how it's ever going to be. Do you
Yeah,
agree?
if yeah, I that was like I looked at it on the after we both made par on number four. I like walking onto five. I was like, "Oh, what's the yardage on this?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I didn't look at the slope." And I'd look at it, and you don't actually. This doesn't have it on this part of this on this screen when you're looking at YouTube. But from the orange and the blue, it's a 72.7, and then it's a 129, and from the blue, it's a 70.9, 124. And I'm like, dude, that like, there's no way that that's like that bogey golf score is definitely like at least add 5 or 6 to that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Just because it like we're talking
Well,
about like the
and
places
as
that
far
you
as the
miss at.
rating, like Metro is always in the wind too. And
Yeah,
that means from the back tees, Metro is like 2 or 3 shots harder than Poppy Ridge. Like, there's no way.
yeah,
Like, that's just not that's just not no. Like, no, no. And it gets really windy at Metro. But like, no, there's no way.
yeah. Yeah, let me look at that. Let me see what that slope is for
I think if
Metro.
I remember correctly, it's 72.3, and then the rating is 129.
Really? Oh, hold on. Let me see if this is gonna
Here,
pull.
I have the scorecard right here. Let's see.
Oh, do you? Oh, look at that. You got a little, for those watching on YouTube, he's got a little scorecard keep it.
Oh yeah, I mean, dude, this is preposterous.
So what's that from the blacks and the blues?
So from the orange tees, the back tees, which is 7,000 yards, it's
Oh, yeah.
72.7, 129. So from blue that I played in the afternoon and thought was extremely
Yeah.
hard, 70.9, 124 rating.
Yeah.
124.
That's what I mean.
That might be less than Creek and North. And the front nine of Creek and North is like a pitch and putt. Seriously. Like, I'm not trying to be an asshole, right? It's like you think about Creek and North, it's like 4 hybrid wedge. 2 is
Yeah.
driver 5 iron. Like
Yeah.
you don't really get challenged at all on the front nine of Creek and North, and I think this is rated easier than that. That's just not. I'm sorry, that's just not right. So
Yeah. Even, I mean, what's funny is like Metro, the the scratch golfer rating at Metro is 73.5, but it's actually the same slope at 129, which is kind of wild. I'm like,
yeah, I don't get that.
there's no way. I did talk to Marcus because we were going to another golf course to preserve, and I was like, hey man, like
Just sprinkle that in. There you go. I was wondering if he was gonna say the name.
um, and we were talking about the slope rating, and he was like, yeah, they don't take conditions into account when they're doing slope
I mean,
ratings.
that's the dumbest thing
That's
ever.
that's so dumb. And I'm just like, so they just play it, they look for the most benign day and they just play it as is. Like, that's pretty crazy,
Well,
dude.
also you're just signing up for like that means like it's like going to be like +5 PCC every single day because you've misrated the course, right? It's like, oh,
Yeah,
everyone's shooting 78. It's like, yeah, because
the
yeah,
wind. Like, I don't know.
yeah.
I mean,
Well, whatever. I mean, at the end of the day, it's one of those places. Like, I think Poppy to me is one of those places which I appreciate.
yeah,
Look, I'm not saying don't worry about your score. Like, I know people are gonna like. I understand. But it feels like
yeah,
a place to you just kind of like put your numbers in gen and you have a match because it's going to be
yeah,
windy. It's like what we're going to do at Bandon, right? It's like my goal is to like not really know what I shoot. Like we're having match play. It's going to be super windy. We're going to get totally ejected. Like Pacific Dunes in the afternoon is going to like shoot us to the moon. But that's not the point, right? Because like kind of to
yeah,
that same point, it's like I made the mistake last time of like posting that score like, wow, I just shot 91. And it's like, yeah, but it's like blowing like 50, it's like you're getting driver 3-wooded at par fours, like whatever. But I think Poppy is a great golf course to like, you're going to hit a ton of cool shots, but cool shots across the bat. Like there's some like thrilling tee shots. There's some like
yeah,
thrilling approach shots. There's some thrilling putts.
Yeah.
And just go
Well,
have like a really good match. Like that's the way to. I think Poppy's is very much a match play golf course.
yeah. Real quick before we get into favorite and least favorite holes. Um, what do you think if you were to split the NCGA courses, so Northern California Golf Association, 10 rounds between Poppy Ridge and Poppy Hills?
Ooh,
I know, like this is first impressions, so
that's
this is
really hard.
subject to change. Yeah, like what would you say your split is?
7-3 Poppy Hills.
7-3 Poppy Hills. Wow.
Yeah. You?
I would say 6-4 Poppy Ridge.
Really?
Yeah. I it's like tree line golf. Like for me, like tree line golf isn't really my thing. I do like a lot more. Like I like the fact that you could kind of pound driver at Poppy Hills, but you just have to be super accurate. But if I was talking, like, remember, I rate courses heavily on variety. I think there's a little bit more variety on Poppy Ridge for me. Poppy Hills to me just has like too many kind of like similar approach shots, similar types of greens. So that's why I'd say like 6-4 to it. Like
Yeah.
I really do like the biggest thing for me is like I really appreciate the fact that there's different size greens at Poppy Ridge. So that's
Yeah.
one of the things that
I mean,
I like
I
the most.
guess, I guess, yeah. Well, I mean, I guess the way to think about it is, I don't even know if this is true, but it feels like Poppy Hills is a better golf course,
Mm,
but it feels like Poppy
yeah,
Ridge is probably like more fun to play. I don't know. I
yeah,
think it's also just selfish of like, obviously, like I said, there's so many vistas and kind of you're overdosing on that at Poppy Ridge. I just think the back, like, man, I just think like the back nine at Poppy Hills is so freaking good.
yeah,
Um, love 10, love 11. 12 is like one of my
yeah.
favorite tee shots in the world. Love 12. Yeah, I just think like the back nine at Poppy is incredible. And then this probably shouldn't factor in, but I think there's also it's not nostalgia, but um, there's something that I just find thrilling about like this is gonna piss some people off. Not that I say this out loud. There's something that's very special about playing golf in Monterey,
Mm,
where
mm.
like I was just like looking to get out of Livermore as fast as I possibly could. You know, like I'm really sorry to say that. It's like, oh wow, like I haven't seen like civilization until I hit like like 30 miles out. So like again, that's me being rude, but um, I guess that's the thing is like Poppy Ridge, and that's kind of why it's cool. It's like in the middle of freaking nowhere, man. Like it's just there's nothing out there. And I don't know. I think, but I'm just giving extra credit to like um, the fact that I think it's in Monterey. Because like if you were to
Yeah.
ask me like even though you found out before we pressed record, Jay Blasey learned from is it Robert Trent Jones?
Hmm.
Like I mean the stuff that Blasey is doing, I think, is inherently more interesting than Robert Trent Jones, like for
Yeah.
sure. It's just mainly that I think that like Poppy, like the way that I kind of described it was, and I've also kind of described like Merced this way, but that's in a like it's kind of in a different class. But I just find it
Yes.
I just find it thrilling that there's something about Poppy Hills, that combination of how it's both like sandy with waste
Mm,
area and yet in the
yeah.
trees. There's something like, but I guess the thing to your point is like I do prefer Poppy Hills golf course, but I think there's something about um the actual land, right? That it's both like sandy and trees. Like no, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I don't I'm not a tree line golf course either, like person either, but yeah, it's too many words. I like the point is I think they're both like I think they're both great, and I think the biggest kudos I can give to the NCGA,
Hmm.
even though I just like jokingly made fun of Livermore. Um, two totally different styles, two totally
Yeah.
different climates, two totally different tests, And I think that's
Yep.
awesome because we've said this in the
Yeah.
past. One of the things that I think is malpractice is usually a place like Carica. Like if Carica North was just a carbon copy of South, like that's so stupid. Don't do that.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that NCGA has two awesome courses that are going to like look and feel and play fundamentally different is hats off. Love it.
Yeah. All right. I think I know at least one of your answers, but let's get into favorite holes. We'll limit it to we'll call it your two favorite holes on the golf course. You go first.
I'll go one front, one back, just for variety's
Yeah.
sake.
Yeah.
I think number 6 rules.
Yeah.
Number 6 for context for people. If you've been to Banded Dunes and played ironically 6 at Pacific Dunes, it's kind of the short par 4 milk carton bunker, really tough green. I would describe this as a much friendlier version of that hole. Essentially, it's also interesting as you're clicking on this, Jack. Interesting that just interesting that I say what direction it's pointing. It must be like wind related. But basically, you can just hit 5-iron. Like where it's different from Pacific Dunes is you can probably just hit 5-iron wedge and make birdie pretty easily, or like a hybrid or something, kind of like you did, Jack.
Yeah.
But
Mini
for
driver.
me, it's like, yeah, there you go. Embarrassing mini driver went that short, but that's a separate discussion.
That's rude.
Yeah, there's a thing called the stack. Promo code whatever to.
What 280, man? What?
But like in the afternoon, I played it up, and the wind was down a little bit, and I actually hit driver over the green there.
Ooh.
So I think that's just like a really fun. That's just like a really fun tee shot.
Yeah.
And it's one of those that like you should make probably birdie or par, but also like the group ahead of us, the guy like blew it way left and made $1 million, and so like that's also fun too. There's some volatility, so I really liked 6, and then I think I also really liked number 15. That's the one. Hand up.
Yeah.
I've not played Chambers, but I've seen Chambers a lot on TV. I think Blasi 15 and 4 are both like uphill holes. And again, I feel like I've played a lot of uphill holes where they just feel like an afterthought. It's like we have to get from point A to point B. 15 is just like a really kind of gorgeous tee shot. Really like amazing green site. A lot of like natural vegetation. Hard, I think, what does it say on here from the tees we were playing originally? Like 440 uphill. Like, yeah, like you're hitting like driver and mid iron in there. So really like those two really stood out. I was also going to say 4, but like to me 4 and 15 are pretty similar.
15. Yeah.
But I think like that's where the front 9, like, not totally sure about 2, but like I think that stretch of like 4, 5, 6 is like a really like phenomenal stretch of golf early on in the round.
I'm gonna call that the Poppy Ridge Triangle because it is a pretty cool routing on that section there.
Yeah, like up into the ridge, across the ridge, and then down the ridge, which they do a couple times, and it's great when a golf course is like Poppy Ridge is the right name for that golf course. You're playing around the ridges a lot.
Yeah, I was gonna say 3. Probably love that hole because you made a hole in one. There's the lead that we've been.
Rory, did it go in?
So no, I like that.
Not
green.
with you, but I did make a hole in one. Yeah. Not with you though, unfortunately.
Yeah. Second round of the day, so he's seen the tee shot already. He knew where to put it.
And one thing that's worth noting about 3 that Eric told us, the mounding and bunkering behind the green is meant to mimic the mountains. So if you go out there and you see it and you're standing on the tee, if you look, the mounding behind the hole that frames it is going to mimic
These guys are here.
So just a cool little nugget.
I'll have to look at that again.
He said that to
I
us.
think
You must have just missed it.
Yeah, no, I mean like I didn't see that on the property is what I mean.
Yeah.
I think my two favorite holes, I'm a sucker for punishment. So number seven, fucking long
Are,
par five.
this is one of your favorite?
I just, it's
You're
just
crazy,
such a
man.
like, it's a demanding tee shot one. And like, it really
Demanding,
like,
stupid, yep. Tomato, tomato.
literally this hole like runs across, like the only hole that runs the entire property. What's cool about it is it literally like the tee boxes touch number four, and then the green like pretty much almost touches number one. So I thought it was a cool hole. It's like pretty straight away, but like, dude, you have to hit your fucking tee shot in the right spot, and then you can't miss right on the right side of that hole. Um, I would have loved to have seen the pin in the back. I think those you can kind of see it on the YouTubes here. There's like six bunkers on the right side of that green, and those look pretty fucking nasty. Um, so I enjoyed that hole. I just think it's very demanding, and you have to be locked in and hit some golf shots there. Um, and my other favorite hole I would say is number 16. So sorry for the card, just for reference. Uh, Number seven plays towards the west. So the day that we played, it was playing dead into the fan. 558-yard par five. Probably played like 7 million yards or something that day.
What are we doing? Sure,
Yeah,
Steve, you're a 15 handicap. Have a great day at Poppy Ridge as you go make a 15 on this hole.
it's It's like you hit driver, you're like, cool, man. Like, how much do I have in? Oh, you still have 440 yards in, Steve.
I hit good drives both days. In the morning, I
Yeah.
yanked it into the crap and then in the afternoon, I shipped it up on the hill and made double both times. Like, okay, congratulations. Like, it's just not
Um,
forgiving enough in my
yeah.
opinion. Like that's where they're like, oh, it's super widening. I was like, you want to tell me number
That's,
seven is like forgiving? Like number
yeah.
seven is like one of the most penal holes I've like ever seen.
Well, that's why I had a laugh at that because like you said that on the on the tee box, and then immediately if you look to the right, you're gonna see hole number two from that tee
Yeah.
box, and I'm like the two narrowest holes on the golf course are
And then
within
from the
like,
back tees, I looked at what is it, 480 on the card? I
yeah.
think it is. It's like cool. I can't wait to shoot 90 today. Oh, but don't worry, the slope's 124. Don't worry about it. It's like what?
It's like, is this even real? But yeah, so it's purely for the kick your dick in factor. I like that hole. Um, 16 was one of the things I loved about
16
16
rules.
was like you could see the entire property. Like I think you the only holes that you couldn't see were basically two and three because they were tucked by back behind the ridge. So I like that a lot. It was very like once you hit the tee shot, you start walking down towards the fairway. If you're walking, it's very much like, oh shit, like what a cool vista, like we were talking about. Um, Props to also number four green and five tee box because those two I think are the highest parts of the property as well. So those are pretty cool. But 16 was really fun tee shot, like probably the widest landing area outside of like maybe 13, I think. But that's a really fun drive, but it's also like a really cool approach shot into that green. So surprisingly enough, I thought that was actually going to play long, but I think I hit mini driver and I had 86 yards. I think you hit driver on the other side of me on the top of the east
Yeah.
side of that hole, and you had
That
like
that that
70
that, that
yards.
I was gonna say that's the move. It's the right angle. It's right in front of you. But then the hard part, where it's a really thrilling hole, is because the pin relative to where I was
Hmm.
back. Like it was. If you're from the tee box on the left side, for me it's on the back.
Yeah,
So it's one of those where from 77 yards, mentally I'm telling myself I can attack this because the wind's gonna like knock it down.
yeah,
but then you almost get flinching over your wedge because like the one thing you cannot do is hit it over that green.
Yeah.
And so both times I hit wedges to like 25 feet because I kind of just like was not really believing that I could do it. But
You're
again,
like, I just want to make par.
yeah, you're like literally the second time I was like, I'm gonna attack this pin, and then it's like you get over, it's like, like, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
But that's again a great hole, like a great hole.
Yeah, the way I looked at it, looking at it at the tee box, I was like, oh, it's wider this way. So I was like, I can control my wedge distance and like just have to worry about like left and right. So that's kind of how I looked at it from kind of this bottom part of the hole. So I mean, I same thing. I put it to like 25 feet or something on that hole too. So I think those are my definitely two favorite holes. Last thing before we go, because we're right on time, what's your least favorite hole on the property, would you say?
Yeah, keep it simple. I mean, it's 7. I think 7 is the drive is too like. I would be okay with it if either the landing zone needs to be bigger. Like one of the two landing zones has to be bigger. It's very very narrow off the tee, and then it's very very narrow to lay up to. And the other thing is, this is going to sound crazy, but again, this goes to like I don't know enough about the wind. If that hole is always going to play dead into the wind, I'm not joking. They should move the tee box forward like 100 yards.
Yeah.
Because the problem is the real reason I think it's stupid is I don't want to be Tyrrell Hatton. Tyrrell Hatton's whole thing is like a par 5 has to be getting there in 2. But I'm just saying like I cannot imagine anybody I know, and we know guys like JD and David who like hit it a country mile.
Yeah.
I don't think those guys are really even have the ability to go for it until like maybe.
Yeah.
But like to me there's no risk reward. It's like just a hole we were hanging on for dear life. Like if you execute perfectly, you have a pitching wedge in your hand. But realistically for most golfers with dispersion patterns and just people not being, I mean, I'm a 4 handicap and I fucked it up both times. I think that for most people, you're going to struggle with either the tee shot or the second shot or both. And I think also that hole's going to be a bit of a pace of play nightmare. Like if you actually you play the probabilities and everybody in the group's a 12, 13 handicap and, you kind of spray it. You could literally have everybody in your group lose balls on the tee shot and the second shot. And maybe some even on the third shot. And I just don't think that's great. Like, I'm not saying, par 5s need to be, driver 7 iron and I need to make birdie. But I just think that is... It's too penal of a hole. It's just... It either needs to be... It needs to be a little wider, which, again, I know they can't do because it's land restraints. But I think the answer is it's going to sound crazy on the card. This is, again, where, the rating system is bananas. What's that number again, Jack? What does it say? 530, you said?
The yardage from the blue tees?
Sure.
Blue tees is 527, yeah.
I seriously think that whole, again, I'm going to get ratioed for this, but, make it a 450-yard par 5. Seriously.
Yeah.
Because it's going to play 510 in the wind.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And then because it's so narrow, it's going to play functionally even harder. If we play it again, exactly. I almost think the play is 5
iron, 5 iron, 5 iron.
or there's a hole at Balboa Park that Nick and I've talked about in the past. It's one of the worst holes I've ever played. And his buddy Jordan, he's played there hundreds of times. And Jordan is absolutely convinced the way to play that. That's I think it's 16 at Balboa, is literally 5 iron, pitching wedge, pitching wedge, pitching wedge, and the goal is to have a par putt. He treats it as it's the John Figueroa, it's a par 6 and hope make a birdie. And I did that with Nick, and it's the only way to play it because that hole basically it's you just hit your tee shot down there, but it's built ironically on the canyon, not a ridge. But the fairway is functionally this wide, And then once you get to the ridge, it's 350 yards and it's this narrow with crap left and crap right. And so I think the play might be, whatever you feel comfortable off the tee, but then just keep hitting pitching wedge up and advance it. And like now that I've done it twice, my only goal there now is to not make double.
Yeah.
So
I think for me, the only hole that felt like, it was like a nothing hole or kind of a binary, like, yeah, it's there because it's there, is 17. Like the tee shot is cool, but there wasn't really anything too crazy about that hole for me. It's like a short
I agree with that.
154.
It's a wedge in your hand, and it's also like, even though you're at the top of the ridge, like it's not like this like incredible view. It just kind of, it feels like a connect. Like we've got to get you back down the hill.
Yeah.
And
we need a hole.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. It actually, I think, looks cooler when you're on 12 or 13.
Yeah.
When you're looking up at those tee shots, it looks cool, but ironically, when you're up there, it's sort of like, I just got to get down the hill. Actually, it's literally over Jack's shoulder right now. It's like, yeah, it's just it's a connector hole. I actually totally agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I would have wished on that hole is like if they moved it back a little bit, if they had some space on that edge of that property, and maybe made it like,
Like
way behind. Yeah, like behind the tee box for 18. I think that would have been a lot better than just where it's at, but I think they maybe had some land challenges there, so yeah, that was the only one that I think was like
they did a really good job for what they had, I think.
Yeah. So all right, that was Poppy Ridge Golf Course in Livermore, California. I'm definitely excited to go back there when it's not like 50-mile-per-hour winds, and who knows, sometime, we talked about maybe Nick coming up here and Hussey being up here, getting him out there and checking it out again in slightly more benign conditions and having a match between us. So that'd be fun, man. Any closing thoughts from you?
No. I think the fact that we have these two gems and get the, I mean, it's hard to say $100 is a discount, but like the fact that we get a really good rate. I feel very grateful that the NCGA has invested in these properties, and I feel very lucky that, I wish I lived a little bit closer, but we're very lucky to have them.
It's like you should move down to San Jose or something. No, yeah, I definitely do. I think one closing thought for me, I think this definitely makes like the Bay Area, I would say, a step closer to being a pretty good like public golf destination. There's maybe at least like one property that's maybe missing or needs to be elevated, because between this, Carica Park, and a few of the other kind of like Monterey destination public golf spots, there's a lot of reason for other people from across the country to come out here and play and check out the public golf that we have access to. So hoping to see, maybe like an improvement at Monarch or something like that, or some other places in the Bay that would really kind of elevate this whole area to the rest of the country for golf, for public golf. So,
I mean, it just boils down to what I think we're continue to say. We're not like, the only people yelling this, but I think the thing we're just seeing time and time again is like, if you build it, they will come. If you build it, they will play. If you build it, they will pay. I mean, it's just, like it's really thrilling to play places that they're clearly investing in, and it like we talked. I mean, that was the whole point of our Minneapolis series is, if you invest in this place, people will come play it. I mean, I know it's been for 2 weeks. I mean, as someone who was there all day, like the golf course was freaking slammed. I mean, I teed off in the afternoon at 2:50, and I mean, God, it was a 5-hour round. It was brutal because the wind. But I mean, when we were teeing off on 18, there's still people on 12. Like,
oh shit,
like crazy, like really crazy how many people are still out there. So
yeah. All right, man. Next time I'll see you in person is going to be in Bandon. We've
Yes,
got a
sir.
couple of good pods coming out. Bunch of first timers at Bandon, and we also have Ashton's Bachelor's Party pod. So look out for that, y'all. But for the meantime, peace.
Peace.